The Hemi lives on. It's going to live on for at least another year, which is great news from Dodge. It's going to live on in the Durango specifically, which was slated to be cut off. I think the 2024 model year was supposed to be the last year for the Durango V8 in production, but it's going on for another year now. And it has me thinking, what if, now that the old CEO is gone, that hated the V8, he didn't want it anymore for any Dodge, now that he's gone, are Dodge regretting not engineering the Charger to be able to fit the Hemi V8? I think they have some regrets, to be honest, but they couldn't do anything because the CEO said no. We have to go greener. So what we're gonna do in this video is have a look at this article from Car Scoops and also the Drive article to see what Dodge has to say themselves about potentially putting the V8 in the new Charger. Is it possible? Or is it not? And then we're going to have a look at the Dodge Durango from the front side and rear and also the interior. I love that it's still in production in 2025. It's such an old, outdated design, but, it's still selling pretty well if they're still going to keep it in production, I would assume. So, first of all, Car Scoops here. The Hemi lives. Dodge extends. Durango RT and SRT Hellcat productions. Fantastic. The 5.7 liter and the supercharged 6.2 liter Hemi V8 will power the Durango into 2025. And I'm not sure when this came out, this model year of the Durango. Was it 2016? Or did it go back did it go back to 20? I'm not sure. I'm going to put that up here so you can see exactly how old this design is and how cool it is that it's still in production to 2025. So Dodge has decided to extend production of Hemi-powered Durangos due to customer demands. So that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? Not just when it comes to powertrains, but also when you look at the interiors these days with these big screens. And BMW M just updated the 2025 BMW M2, and guess what they did? They did not listen to customer demand. Instead, what they did was they made it reduce even more buttons in the interior and more pixels. And that is the complete opposite to what customers were asking BMW to do. And that we can go, but that's a completely different topic, though. Might make a separate video on that one, but I don't get it. It doesn't make sense why we have these interiors these days. But this interior is great on the Durango. We're gonna have a look at that in a second. So, Durango RT and SRT Hellcat were originally slated to die at the end of the month. So yeah, end of 2024. The 2025 Durango RT starts at $54,495. But you'll need to shell out six figures for an SLT Hellcat. Now that might be just a bit of a hard sell. I'm not sure. Maybe it's gonna be turned into a Challenger 2.0 where the final model year just shoots up in sales. I don't know, but six figures for this. It's a bit of a stretch. So Dodge said the change was due in part to market demands and customer feedback. Great that they're listening to the customers. The company didn't elaborate, but the move follows an ouster of Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares. The former executive reportedly pushed for the Hemi's elimination despite strong opposition. What an idiot. Dodge CEO said that the Dodge Durango and the Hemi engine form a powerful pair, and Dodge will continue to produce the most powerful gas engine SUV on the planet into the 2025 calendar year. So this is more powerful than a Lamborghini Urus SE, I guess. The celebrations are a little less joyous as Dodge killed the Durango 392 for 2025. And as a result, you can no longer get a 6.4 liter Hemi V8 with 475 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. Instead, the options for 2025 now is you either have the 5.7 liter or the supercharged 6.2 liter V8. The base one produces 360 horsepower, 390 pound-feet of torque, which it sounds pretty okay. 360 horsepower in a base model. And then, of course, you have the Hellcat engine. 710 horsepower and 645 pound-feet of torque. You can also get, the 5.7 liter V8 is not the base, but you can still get the V6. 3.76 liter V6, but nobody wants that one. So pricing for the 2025 Durango starts at $41,200 for the V6, I would assume, and then you have $54,500 for the RT, and $113,000 $720 for the SRT Hellcat Special Edition. So with that said, let's check out this article from The Drive as well, because I want to show you this, what Dodge themselves are saying regarding putting a V8 in the new Charger, or Charger, yeah, not Challenger. I always mix that up because it's yeah. Dodge won't admit the new Charger can't fit Hemi V8, and we know why. It's a simple question: does the old Hemi V8 physically fit inside of the 2024 Charger's engine bay? Dodge refuses to answer. So Jalopnik published a story citing an anonymous Dodge engineer who said that the old V8 literally does not fit in the 2024 Charger engine bay. Dodge is focused on launching the all-new, all-electric Dodge Charger Daytona models, as well as the Dodge Charger 6-pack ICE options models next year. We have nothing additional to share in regards to future potential products. And that, to me, sounds like they're like, crap, we should have engineered the Charger to fit the Hemi V8 so we could just smack it in there. And even though, this is what I think here, they say that it's too much of a complex with the firewalls and stuff like that, but I think if they were to figure out a way to make it not super expensive to be able to fit the V8, I think they're gonna bring in, or that is going to be a great investment for this model, because I think people really want a V8, and I think it would sell really well if they actually managed to figure that out, how to put a V8 in this. With enough elbow grease and a can-do attitude, you can stuff a big engine into anything, and I don't just mean backyard wrenches, LS swapping a Miata. Jeep dropped a 6.4-liter V8 into the Wrangler from factory, they say here in this article from The Drive. The new Charger's front crash structure, firewall, and STLA platform were designed for electric motors or a straight 6 engine, but that doesn't mean it is impossible. Anything is possible when you really want something. So the new model is even bigger than the old Challenger in practically every dimension. That includes the new gas engine. The the Hurricane 6 here measures 34 inches long, 29 inches wide, and 33 inches tall. Not to mention the twin turbo setup that you have in addition to that. And the old Hemi V8 naturally aspirated measures 29, 26, 31. So the old V8 was actually smaller than the current Hurricane 6 engine. So that sort of makes it sound like they're hiding something here, Dodge. They I don't know if they're you can bet that they're behind closed doors. They're thinking, can we make this work? Because they know that if they can make it work, as I said, this is going to be a very, very cool car. But if the Charger can fit a V8 engine, why won't Dodge say so? And to be fair, it's stuck in a hard place. If Dodge admits it's possible, that's all it's going to hear about for the rest of the decade, and there will be a permanent asterisk on the current car, could have had a V8. If it denies it, though, it means it might shut down the conversation for now, but it risks having a YouTuber buy a new Charger to swap it, buy a crate Hemi engine and just push it in there to show that the Dodge is actually wrong, and it does, in fact, fit there. And I do think that is definitely something that someone on YouTube is going to do. They're just going to V8 swap the new Charger for sure. The cost issue is important, of course. Stellantis isn't exactly in the best position to be blowing a bunch of cash to adapt supply and production lines for a different engine, particularly one on an enthusiast vehicle. And that is why I think they're wrong here, because enthusiast vehicles today, when we have this surge of hybrids and EVs and all these new very advanced powertrains, I think enthusiast vehicles, the demand for them are actually we're going to see a curvature go up like this for enthusiast vehicles. So I think this would be a good idea, a good investment to look into if they can make this possible. It's supposed to be a muscle car of the future, Dodge says, and the Hemi is an engine of the past. And it doesn't matter if it's an old engine. It's still a Hemi V8. Come on, and it's a Charger. You want to have a V8 in there. So with that said, let's jump into Photoshop here, quickly have a look at the design of the Durango Hellcat here. I mean, first of all, just looking at this thing, it just looks like a beast when you see it. 707 horsepower. I love the facelift that they made. Definitely brought it into, made it look a little bit younger. And the facelift that I'm talking about, what happened here, we used to have an LED that went right here in the lower section. This is it for the LED. And it had like dotted LEDs, so it looked very old school, almost like an Audi R8 back from 2007. So what they did here, they created this claw design, like rips from a tire or something like that, with these two LEDs, both in the top and in the lower section. And this, of course, made it look a lot more modern. Love this styling because this has a connection to what we had in the old Charger, the four-door with the V8, with these dips down here into these sections going into the bumper. And I love that we have a separation here with the top half of the graphics, as I've said so many times before, and the lower half having a clear separation with this proper bumper that we have right in the middle. And this is probably the spec that I would choose, either this gray with the black stripes for my Hellcat, or it would be a red with probably black stripes. I'm not sure if I would pick black or white stripes. I used to have a Mustang GT 2012 manual transmission V8. That was a red one with the white stripes, and I did love that spec on that car. But overall, I mean, look at the proportions of this thing. It's just a beast of a machine, and it's more powerful than a Lamborghini Urus, which is crazy to think about. Now, looking at the line flow here, it has this old school styling to it overall, but that does not mean at all that this is a bad design that can't go into 2025 as a modern looking car. Because look at this, we have this line in the bumper here, and does it have a connection to what's going on in the side view? Yes, it does. Does it have a connection to what's going on in the rear end? Yes, it does. So it has one line that goes all around the car, and that is exactly what I want to see. Then we have this muscle over the rear axle, almost looking like it looks like a muscle car in SUV form, this thing. Not a huge fan of what's going on here, though, because this window feels like it's a very interesting shape to it. It feels sort of out of place. I'm not sure exactly why. I think it has to do with the radiuses that we have on the other windows here, except for maybe this radius here. They are a little bit more sharper, and this just has a very, I don't know, it feels like the shape of this radius feels like it should be a little bit sharper, in my opinion, this radius down here. But that's just a small little detail. One thing I would switch out here are probably the wheels. The wheels look like they come from a Chrysler 200 or something like that. Not sporty at all enough for me, so these are something I would switch out for sure. I would not put any aggressive off-road tires on this, because this is a car. This is an SUV that you're not gonna take off-road. This is an SUV for the streets. Obviously, you can see just a big Brembo probably brake pads in the front and the brake disc there. Now, looking at the rear end, this is by far my favorite view for this SUV. Love the styling. I've always been a fan of these taillights of Dodge, both in the Charger and also here in the Durango, because we have a nice clear identifier having these lines here. You can definitely tell this is a Dodge when you see this at night. In addition to that, we have this chamfer down here, so we have a nice framing for it, looking super clean, very nicely done, nothing complex. It's a simple car. It's a muscle car in an SUV form, meaning that it needs to be very simplistic. Nothing crazy going on with the styling. We also have a proper bumper down here, as you can see, going in here. We don't have this European waterfall design like we've seen in Volkswagen and Audis, for example. This is more American styling, where you have a clear separation between the top half again and the lower half down here. And look at this. This is stunning. This lower section with the completely round exhaust pipes, dual exhaust pipes, symmetrical looking, beautiful, exactly like I want to see. Proper handle to lift up the tailgate. No weird touch buttons or anything like that. We still have the wiper visible here, which is also fine, because this, again, is supposed to be a muscle car. We don't need anything fancy, and we don't need to hide it up there underneath. Now, this interior, this is probably something that if you're gonna pay $114,000 for the SRT Hellcat, some people might say you're paying $114,000 and you get an interior from 2010, but to me that is not a bad thing. And I've said this before, this is actually a benefit for this type of vehicle and older vehicles that are still in production today. Because I think, honestly, I don't know. Let me know down below. I should, if it's possible to make a poll on YouTube, I would like to do that to see if you think interior design is heading in the right direction, or if are we heading in the wrong direction. And I think the majority, I have a feeling that the majority would still rather go back to interiors like this. And what I mean by that is smaller screens that sits within the dash, just like this, and some beautiful analog gauge clusters here. We talked about this so many times before. And of course, the big control panels with big bulky dials and buttons for the climate control settings. So for me, I would pay extra to go back to designs like this. I would pay extra if I bought a new BMW today, a 2025 model. I wish there was an option to pay, like, I don't know, $500 to get the old iDrive 7 in the new BMWs, for example. I would pay an additional fee to get the old iDrive systems. They were just so much better. They looked better, and they were more ergonomical as well. The design, overall functionality of those interiors were just overall better. So it remains to see, what is Dodge going to do here now that the Hemi lives on for another year? Do they maybe start fiddling around with the Charger and put a V8 in there? I would like to see that, but with Dodge and with the new management, you really never know.